Hello, my name is Ben Stevens. This is my final project for ICT. And so I'm going to be discussing two infographics I chose and my own infographic that I made. And I chose the infographics based off of student debt because we're in college right now and that's a big topic. So here's my infographic number one. I chose this infographic because it was very appealing to the eye because of the colors of the orange and the red that stood out. I think this infographic is very well put together. Infographic because it's organized. The colors don't get mixed together. The colors stand out and make the text easier to read. And I think the font size of all of the statistics and notes below the statistics are very easy to read. So this infographic is very well organized, very well easy to read. So I think it's a very well put together infographic. And I chose this infographic because it's pretty like it opened my eyes because it says $3,000 of student debt are being accumulated every second. Another stat was how 1.3 trillion dollars was the total amount of student debt in the U.S. as of November 2015, and that is one of the bad things of this infographic is how it's kind of outdated. Because 2015 was 6 years ago now. 2015 November was 6 years, 5.5 years ago now. So that's pretty outdated compared to where it was now. So yeah. And then this audience, I think, is the people who are young and old. Because if you're an older person, you could want to see how student debt's going right now. Because you could have a grandkid or a kid going into college, and you might be able to tell them things about student debt. Or if you're a kid, you might look at this and debate whether you want to go into student debt if you won't be able to pay for college right away. And then according to the video of the basics of the visual design, this infographic shows unity because the colors mix well together with the statistics. So that's one thing I thought was very well. So yeah, I think this infographic number one was very well put together. And now on to infographic number two. Here's infographic number two. And I think this infographic is, while it shows a lot of information, I don't think it is a very well infographic because I think it shows too much information. And if we're going to be honest, like sometimes you just need to get to the point, make it simple. Because it has, as you see, it has 7 things that they're talking about. They talk about all types of student debt, the percentage of student debt, and everything. But I think it's just too much information. They're talking about 7 different types of student debt and how student debt goes up by degrees in public schools, private schools, and I think it's just too much. I think the colors, one reason why I chose this infographic, because of the colors. I think the colors stand out very well. That's why I chose it, because they're really bright and it makes you look at it. And then another bad thing about this infographic is how's it outdated. All of this information is from 2011 to 2013 of student debt in Minnesota. So if it's a state, so it's not the whole grand scheme of the United States, but it's probably a good measure of where student debt's going and if it's increasing or decreasing. But that's one thing. This infographic is also outdated. So that's one bad thing. And then according to Vismo.co, it says bad infographics use too much information. And I think that is exactly what's happening with this infographic because it's just too much. And the font, like you can't even read some of the stuff without zooming in. Like you can't see in number 4 and like presentation number 4 or the section number 4 in here. You can't even read those numbers right there without getting really close to the screen. So I think this is a bad infographic because while it has a lot of information, I think it's just too much information jumbled together. I think they should make it shorter. And now onto my infographic. Here's my infographic. I chose to make it 2 colors really, blue and green. And I chose just a nice little colorful, not too many colors, but not one color. And then, so I did the pros and cons of student debt because I wanted the intended audience for the ones before were the could be used for both. But this is for kids who are deciphering or debating going into student debt. So I put the pros and the cons. I think this is because I think the font stands out, or not the font. I think the font is big enough to where you can see everything, and it's very well organized because I just put three sections and three different statements for the pros and the cons. So I think this is a good infographic because it's organized. You can read everything, and you know exactly what is going on in the infographic. Thank you for your time.